Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. Monday night, Tucker Carlson, in his monologue on Fox News, basically said that, or rather, he ridiculed, the mainstream media for trying to make the FBI agents that raided Trump's home to be the victims. Yeah, you heard that right. They're the victims now, according to the mainstream media. These heavily armed law enforcement officers are the victims. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the transcript of what Tucker Carlson said. And then after I've read his transcript, I'm going to read a portion of a section from a book that I purchased some years ago to tie that into what Tucker Carlson has said in his monologue. And I want to, because I want to share with you guys what I personally believe is on the horizon with this FBI raid. And I said this in some previous videos, and it's not pretty. I hate to be negative, but it's not pretty. But it's better to be informed than to not be informed, the way I see it. So let's get right into this. And the article starts off with, during his Monday opening monologue, FNC host Tucker Carlson ridiculed a media effort to make the FBI victim in the raid saga. According to Carlson, that reaction was typical of the media, but he added he believed they were aware of the serious nature of what an indictment of Trump could mean for the country, which is what it's all about. People don't look at that. They don't understand that it's not just about Trump. It's about every last one of us in this country. That's the bigger picture. So here's a partial transcript of what Carlson said. And he says, just the other day, after signing off on the raid, your Attorney General, Merrick Garland, came on stage to whine about how actually he was the victim here. He's the victim. Apparently, some people disagree with the raid, so the FBI, the most heavily armed domestic law enforcement agency in the world, is now under threat from you. Right, you're the criminal. Our critics are in jail, but I got anonymous threats on Twitter. Poor me. Passive aggressive is the defining characteristic of the left. If they started putting people in camps, that's the key word there. I want to pay attention to that word camps, because I'm going to tie that into what I'm going to read you from this book that I purchased some years ago. NBC News would cheer them on and then attack you for complaining about it. How dare you violating our norms? We've always had camps. As if to prove it, they prove it every day. But in the hours after the raid, the usual jackals on Twitter began demanding that Donald Trump should release the warrant that justified the raid. If you're not guilty, you will show it to us. That's what they said. So Trump did it. He gave the warrant to Breitbart News, which printed it. And then the second the Breitbart piece went up, the very same jackals start screaming about how far right-wing extremists, that's what kills my, who was these far right-wing extremists? I mean, are putting the lives of FBI agents in danger, since those agents were named in the warrant, which is a public document. In other words, we're the victims. We're the victims here. We're the victims. That's a sad case. They're real good at spinning this thing, you know. Goes on to say it's always the same, except this time, unfortunately, it could be a little different. Indicting Donald Trump is a very big step, not simply because a lot of people like him, and he's a former president, but because indicting him at this point would be to reveal that this entire thing, and by thing we mean our justice system, is just transparently political. It's just a means to an end, a means to power. And people know that at this point. They've watched it. They understand what's happening. Even people who don't like Donald Trump, even people who didn't vote for Donald Trump and don't want to vote for him in 2024, they know and they can't unknow. And that means that we are at this point on the edge of something unprecedented and something awful. You can feel it. Even Donald Trump feels it. Now, that's the end of that transcript there from what Tucker Carlson has said. Now, I'm going to read you guys a small portion of a booklet that I purchased some years ago that ties into this whole idea of concentration camps. And here's the name of the book. A Prophecy of the Future of America, written in 2016 by Paul McGuire. He's a Christian minister. I'm sorry, not 2016, 2013. And there's a chapter in this book that I'm going to read real quick. And I want you to hear this. This is pretty interesting, but at the same time, it's startling. And these are the words of Paul McGuire himself. He said, "It is not paranoia, but a fact that these revolutionaries plan to put over 25 million Americans in re-education camps in order to eliminate or kill them. If you want documentation, I have the actual footage in my 3 DVD series, Are You Ready?, of an FBI informant named Larry Grotwall, who had infiltrated a Weather Underground meeting in 1969 where Bill Ayers and Bernardine Durham was present." If anybody familiar with the Weather Underground group in the 1960s, it was a radical communist group, and they were known for several bombings of very important political sites and political buildings. So this is what was going on back at the time. So Paul McGuire goes on to say, in the 1982 documentary film entitled No Place to Hide, Gradwell spoke about what he heard the Weather Underground plan to do after overthrowing the U.S. government. Gradwell says, quote, "I asked, well, what is going to happen to those people we can't re-educate that are diehard capitalists? And the reply was that they have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious." Now, let me read you something else. What Paul McGuire said in an interview he had. Say, "I had a personal conversation with General Jerry Boykin when we were both speaking at a prophecy conference, and I asked him about the reason for the camps. General Boykin was the former head of the Delta Force. He was the guy who got the hostages out of Iran. Boykin was also brought in at the end of what is known as Black Hawk Down. Some of you may be familiar with the movie Black Hawk Down, to rescue what was left of the American servicemen. General Boykin looked me in the eyes and said, if you had asked me or any other high-level member of the military what these camps are for 20 years ago, we would have told you that they are there in the event of a terrorist threat or invasion. Today, many members of the military believe these camps are there for a different reason, in order to detain anyone who does not go along with a revolution. General Boykin is an expert in Marxist insurgencies." That's that right there. Now you see the connection. You see the connection. This is what I personally believe this FBI raid is really all about on a bigger picture. And that's why a lot of people are bothered by it. But the mainstream media, which is controlled by the elites, are covering up a lot of stuff. They're keeping people blind from understanding the bigger picture. Because if you cannot understand the bigger picture of what this really is all about, then you won't know when they come in your house and haul you off for disagreeing with their Marxist revolution that they're trying to push. Whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right or whether you're in the middle, it won't matter. It won't matter. That's what people on the left don't understand. You're supporting something that does not care for you. They don't care for you. Those of you that support it, I'm just going to be real with you, that are on the left, that are rah-rah-rah for abortion and rah-rah-rah for open borders and rah-rah-rah for all this type of stuff, you fail to realize the bigger picture. The minute you dissent, the minute you disagree with their radical Marxist ideology, you're going to be in those concentration camps too, and you're going to be out for elimination. Now, I pray and hope that this does not happen. I know this is frightening information, and this video may be taken down. But I pray and hope to God that this does not happen. And I pray and hope to God that enough Americans will wake up and push against this and put the proper people in office that need to be put in office that will push back against this kind of stuff. Because at this point right now, America is right on the edge, man. We it's hard. We are really on the edge right now. We are on the edge of collapse, which is what they want. It is the Marxist insurgents that are doing this. Now, I'm not saying people on the right are not doing it, because a lot of these groups, some of these groups, according to some researchers, have been created by an insurgents that are designed to cause division. That's what they say. I mean, I haven't, but the problem with that is that I have not seen any of these groups on the right initiate any acts of real violence against people. Self-defense and initiating violence is two different things. They're not the same. Okay. I see the left and the radical left initiating acts of violence against people on the right or people that disagree with their worldview. You disagree, we coming after you. Really? Is that America? That's not America. That is not America. Not at all. Period. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. But this is what I see coming. And until Americans wake up, this is what's going to end up happening. But I pray and hope that it does not happen. That's why this FBI thing is such a big thing for people who are in the know, because eventually they're going to come after those voices and those individuals that dissent and disagree with their Marxist revolution. That's what I believe, and that's what I adhere to at this point. But what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to this channel. God bless you all, and see you again.